Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Mother You Know, The Woman You Don't. Thank you for joining us again for our weekly podcast here about mothers and daughters, the good, the bad, and all that stuff in between. We're really excited this week to have a friend of mine, Ashley, on with her mother, Miss Kay. Ashley and I work together at our day jobs, and let's see, we were in Nashville last week having a conversation, many conversations, and kind of decided, yeah, let's do it. Let's be on the podcast. And she kind of committed her mother without really asking her. But I think you did FaceTime her at that point. You're like, Mom, we're going to be on a podcast. And we're like, yes, we're going to do it.
She does those kind of things to me.
Well, if I don't bring something on her, then she has the opportunity to say no, and I'm very just like, let's do something. And she's like, no. So,
Yeah, it's true.
and she's in town, so it's perfect timing.
Yes, she was puppy sitting. She was dog sitting. So it was a good time to just have her. We usually do this when like mom, or my mother, excuse me, sorry to interrupt. My mother is ill. So she's was very upset because she likes meeting our friends. So she really wanted to be here, but all that crap that was going on last week when we were all sick in Nashville, mom now has it. So she is laid up in bed, but
up in NyQuil. You should take some more NyQuil and lay here. I was like, I'm gonna need you to take a NyQuil. Someone who doesn't drink, you need to put the NyQuil down.
The dogs you might hear them because they are.
That's okay. Those are your puppies. So we're gonna start with you. If you just want to kind of tell us about where you were born, what your family was like, and kind of just what your life was like with your mom and what your mom was like and all that. And we'll just kind of see where the conversation goes.
All right. My name is Kay. My father was in the Navy, so I was born in Key West, Florida. And
Can I stop you though? It gets better. Her name is LaWanda Kay.
Nice. Like fried green tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Wanda.
Her mom had a best friend named Wanda and thought that name was so pretty. And she thought if she put a la in front of it, it was real fancy.
yeah, so it's given me grief for years.
I mean, I think adding la in front of anything makes it French and fancy.
I mean, we thought he did LaWanda.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Listen, with somebody like the name Dorcas, you don't judge other people, so bring it on.
Yeah. But when I got old enough to say, I don't like that name, I started going by Kay, which is okay. Thank you. So I was born in Florida. Fortunately, my parents were divorced, and I was raised by a stepfather. We don't need to go into that. But he was very mean. And I married Ashley's father when I was 19. Very young, but we've been married for 47 years, so I guess it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we only dated 6 months, so, sometimes things work out.
Where did y'all meet?
We lived in Victoria, Texas. We met, I had a really good friend, and there was this guy who liked me. I always thought, oh, he's just a brother kind of guy. And I finally told her, I said, okay, I'm going to give him a chance. And then that night I met my husband, Ted. And it was like, oh, well, too bad.
But my dad was with the guy that she was going to give a chance to.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was like, just kidding, never mind.
I forgot about that. Yeah, he was with that guy. But anyway, so 6 months later, we got married. We were in Victoria, Texas. And a couple of days after our wedding, we moved to Odessa, Texas, which was very lonely and very odd. But we were only there like a year, and then we moved to Corpus Christi. And then, of course, that's where both my kids were born a few years later. I do have a son, and then, 4 years later or 5? What? When you were born? 5. So 5 years later, lovely Ashley came on the scene. And I always wanted a girl. I only had sisters. So I loved having a boy, but this one had to be a girl. And, thank God my prayers were answered. And there was Ashley. And she was just a bundle of energy. I'm sure you get that now. I mean, because she's still the same as she was when she was tiny. She was just a little tornado everywhere. But she was sweet. Very, very sweet. What else?
So she says.
Okay, I guess I thought she was.
She's very sweet. We love Ashley.
He's a doll.
I tried.
Yeah,
But I've always been,
a little bit.
but I had to. I had another brother. So.
Yeah. And
Yes.
he was 6 months old. We moved to Louisiana and we stayed there till she was 9. And she insists that she's Cajun for years.
I don't claim Texas as my birthplace.
No, she's from Texas. I'm from Louisiana, but she's technically from Texas. After that we moved to Singapore when she was 9, and that was a wonderful experience. Both my kids went to an American school. It was excellent education, awesome. Unfortunately, we had to move back when she was in the 8th grade to Sugar Land, Texas, and then she finished high school there and college. Well, college in Houston. Yeah.
Cool. I didn't ever know you lived overseas, Ashley. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, not long enough.
Is it because of like the military or something, or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Only guess. Okay. Well, fancy.
So I was a stay-at-home mom most of the time. I worked when her brother was young, but when she came along was when we moved, and I never worked till much later when she was like 4 or 5, and I worked at the Mother's Day out at her church, so she would go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, always been very close.
So she's getting a little anxious. You can cut this part out. She's getting anxious, but she was like, I want to tell them the story of how we became so close. So yeah, my brother, she put him in daycare because he worked when he was young.
Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm.
And then when I was born, my dad, he worked in the shop for a while, and then he got a sales role. So kept working up and up. And the company was National Oil Barco, which I also worked at. That was my first job out of college. And so when I was born, then he was like, okay, you could be a stay-at-home mom, whatever. And so, yeah, she was like, I don't want to work anymore.
Yeah, I'm tired.
So then when it was time for me to kind of get ready to go to kindergarten or whatever, she put me in Mother's Day Out. You're going to have to step in if I get this wrong, but I went to Mother's Day Out and I was devastated. I was literally her shadow. She would walk outside, I'd follow her. She'd go to the bathroom, I would follow her. I would literally follow her everywhere in the house to the point where it would bother her.
Yeah, give me a little.
Which I'm learning this now because I'm in this 1-bedroom apartment, and she's like, I want to stay a week longer. I'm like, that's fine, but I just need a little privacy if you're gonna stay longer. The roles are totally switched. So she ended up working at Mother's Day Out because
You put your mother back in the workforce because you were a Velcro baby.
right. She was just trying to prepare me to go to kindergarten, and then she ended up being the director. And I vividly remember I was the one kid falling asleep during nap time. I'd put my mat right by the door so that I could see if she was walking through the hall. And then she did say she wanted to tell this really funny story about when it actually got to kindergarten. I've been so obsessed with my mom forever, my entire life.
Yeah, so when she started kindergarten, she cried every day. Her teacher called me and she said, maybe if you come have lunch with her, it will help her, get a little adjusted and know that you're there and you can come anytime. So, I did that. And then the next time I saw the teacher, she said, don't come again.
I think I cried probably the whole rest of the day.
Yes. She said, she said, you cannot come again. So I was heartbroken. But anyway, we had to learn to be separated a little bit.
But I've grown. I literally moved.
But before that, she was still dependent. So I was shocked when she said she was moving here. I thought, what?
Yeah, you mentioned that you're way more independent, Ashley, than that your mother was.
Because she has grown to be a lot more independent as a person. I mean, that's great. But I still miss her.
Yeah, when I was young.
I want to back up just a little bit, Miss Kay. How old were you when Ashley, or you had your first son, and then what was it like just becoming a mother for the first time? Because you're in your early 20s.
Yeah, I was 24 when he was.
So that's still a baby, by all standards. What were you what was just that like for you, going through your head mentally to go, now I'm responsible for this person,
yeah,
and these little people I got to keep alive. And
I really wanted to have a baby, so it was I don't want to do that. Well, it's too bad.
Doing it.
I was excited, but I was nervous, and I had a little bit of a difficult pregnancy with him. But anyway, it all worked out. And I didn't want to work, but it was necessary back then. We had bought a house and, all the things you do as a young couple. Even back then, you still needed two incomes sometimes. But fortunately, after I had Ashley when she was 6 months old, was when we moved to Louisiana. And I told my husband, I said, we're moving, I'm not working. So then I was a stay-at-home mom, and that was just the best time because I was there. I got to see everything with her. I didn't miss anything. Yeah. Though it did make it difficult for her when she did start school, but she got through it. I don't know if I got through it, but yeah.
What was the difference though between like your emotion?
I was, relieved, but I wanted a girl really bad because I only grew up with sisters. And I thought, I don't know anything about boys. So the first one was a boy, and I go, okay, I got this down. But if I don't have a girl this time, something's going to happen. And my doctor kept telling me, well, we keep delivering boys, so it might be a boy. And they even did sonograms back then, but of course it wasn't as good as nowadays. And they told me they thought she was a girl, but they kept telling me, now, it could be a boy. And I said, there's no way it's a boy.
What was tell us a little bit about like your mom. Like what was your mom like? What was her story and stuff?
My mom passed away about a year ago. I was the middle child, but I was the closest to her. And of course, my younger sister, my older sister, you were always her favorite. Well, and yeah, I was.
Little children generally are. Yes, Miss Kay.
I was her favorite, so we were very, very close. I mean, when I was little, I just thought my mother was beautiful. And I can remember going to school, and it was, the mothers were coming that day. And I was so excited because I thought she was the most beautiful woman on earth.
And she really was. She was so beautiful.
Yeah, when she was young, she was gorgeous. So, yeah, I was very, very close to my mom. And of course, when I got married, a few days later, I moved to West Texas with my husband. I don't know how my mom and you survived, but we did. I think when we got out there in West Texas, it's kind of dreary. And we lived in Victoria in South Texas. And I just started crying and said, I want to go home. And my husband thought, I didn't want to be with him. I wanted to be with my mother. It's just I didn't want to be in Odessa.
I think that's probably a common thing for people who have to move to Odessa. No offense to Odessans, but yeah.
Thank God we were just there a year. Then we went to Corpus Christi.
Was your mom, was she like a homemaker or what did your mom do?
My mom, she always worked, and she was a beautician.
Okay.
But that was later in life. She never picked the best men. So she worked, she did hair, and so when I was a teenager, I always had the best hair in school. So that part was great.
So that's a plus.
We were very, very close, and it was really sad because the last few years of her life she had dementia.
Oh, okay.
She always knew I was her daughter, but at the end we don't think she knew what the word meant. So
Yeah.
really hard because I basically lost her before I lost her.
Yeah.
But I'm over that. So it's hard.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, about the losing. Like I think dementia is one of those hard things. Our friend Shane, who's been on the podcast, her father is ill with something very similar, and it's just a very sad. I mean, like, did you have to? I don't know what I was trying to ask, but like, that's just got to be hard. Like, I'm really sorry that
Yeah.
happened with your mom.
My younger sister, she lost her husband like 2 years ago, very young to lose her husband. So she moved in with my mother and took care of her.
Oh, okay.
So I was able to see her a few times, before she passed away. But she never had to go to a nursing home or anything because my younger sister was there taking care of her. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's rough. I'm really sorry about that.
What is one of your favorite memories of your mother growing up? Just something other than the fact that she was stunning.
I don't know. I have a good one, but
Okay.
it's not my question. You have to answer.
Ashley, what do you know about your grandma? What did you think about her, and how was she in your life? How was her role in your life?
This is more, it's not like how she was in my life, but I'll always remember because she really was stunning and she was petite and just so beautiful. And every time we'd see her, she liked to wear moo-moos. but not even just like full moon, but she'd wear skirts and then like just the crop tops. And so she'd have her midriff out and everything. And it was, I loved visiting her because, of course, I was like 6, 7, 8. And you remember when you're younger, it's like fun to be a little. So she would let me try on her clothes, and I would just walk around in her little crop tops and her heels. And I just thought it was the most fun. I just felt so fancy.
Yeah.
Like, loved her little crop tops because she was so tiny. Like they were like, those stretchy ones, like they fit on my tiny little 8-year-old frame. Like, I mean, obviously she was more than her clothes, but that's for some reason just the memory I have of her.
Yeah.
Fun and had clothes.
That's a good memory to have, though.
When
Love that.
After I had Scott, I had to talk to her every day. And of course, back then, long distance wasn't the way it is now. She paid my long distance bill just so I could talk to her every day.
That's a good mom.
Yeah, she was really good. Yeah, she was.
We heard that a lot because I think my mother said something similar too after her and dad moved to Louisiana and then had my sister that she would call home.
She said it was rare because they couldn't afford it.
Yeah,
My grandma couldn't afford it, and that was really hard.
away.
Separated from her baby because the same thing is when she got married young and had us young and just got ripped out of a family of 11. Like she was one of 11 and got moved from Houston to Marshall, I guess.
Marshall and then Louisiana.
Yeah. Like, cause I was born in Louisiana. So I was only there like 6 months and then moved back to Texas. So see, I claim the opposite. I'm a native Texan. But yeah, she said it was the same thing. It was just really hard being like physically feeling like you're ripped up and put somewhere isolated. I imagine Odessa's like the cream of the crop of being ripped out and stuck in the middle of nowhere.
No, but we survived.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Let's see, what else about your moms and all that? Like, Ashley, tell us a little bit about like just your childhood. What was it like growing up in your childhood with your mom? And what are some of your favorites and the things you remember about the way your mama raised you?
Yeah, I just always remember, like I've already alluded to, I was literally her shadow before Mother's Day out, kindergarten times. I would walk around the backyard. I would go to the cardboard with her and go to the bathroom with her. Wherever she would go, I'd go with her. But most importantly, I had to wear what she was wearing, which obviously I had to wear what her mother was wearing. So clearly I had to wear what she was wearing. To JCPenney or Sears or wherever and get a new outfit, I had to make sure that they had a smaller person outfit that was very similar.
Yeah, she did.
And it wasn't just like I wanted to wear it around the house. To Sunday, church, to Sunday school, and like whatever we were doing, I needed to make sure everybody saw that we were matching.
Yes.
Very important. Yeah. Very important to me that people knew we were matching.
Yeah, I had to teach her Sunday school class. I had to be her brownie beater.
And if she didn't teach my Sunday school class, and it was like her best friend, who was like my Aunt Sandy, I do have an Aunt Sandy, but like her best friend was also Aunt Sandy. Yeah. So it was just, I don't know. I'm very different now. I'm not codependent on people anymore.
No,
when I was younger, I definitely was. But yeah, so I just always wanted to be our ultimate mom. And even, I'm embarrassed to say this, but even like when I was married, my husband was a police officer. He still is a police officer. We're just no longer married. But he worked weekends, he worked nights. And so we would hang out on the weekends.
Yeah.
Like, I preferred hanging out with my mom and going to dinner with my mom than hanging out with I had a few girlfriends, but like she was my girlfriend.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
She was way more fun than anybody else.
So my husband stayed home and got used to me going to see her every week.
And at the time, like she was in Pearland, I was in Katy. So like we'd either meet halfway or she was not far at all. Yeah. So yeah, we were always together. So it was kind of hard for her when I was like, okay, I'm moving to Arizona.
It was a
Shock for us, and we were just your work people.
I know.
Nothing wrong with being a shadow. It's a Velcro baby. That's what they call it now.
I think maybe like when you're younger, if you're like the Velcro baby, then maybe you learn more independence because like nobody can tell me what to do. If you try to tell me what to do, I'm the exact opposite. Even if she tries to tell me what to do, I'm like, excuse me.
I know.
So I think after
Rebellious spirit, Ashley. That's what you got.
So I think maybe it was like the right path for me to take to be a little codependent on her because now I'm like, I don't want to do that ever again.
But we're still close.
We're so close, yeah.
Yeah.
And my team knows this, so if you want to cut it out, cut it out. But there was a time where she was a little bit like not well.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly what it was, but if you hear me like joke around about I have stress dementia, because literally like that's how she sometimes will like go into this weird like stress dementia. So I make light of it, but it was really scary, especially for me because like she's my whole world. She's what
Yeah.
if I lost her when I'm only, don't want to say my age, but in my 30s, it would be really hard.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And listen, let me tell you, go have your hormones checked if you hadn't had your hormones checked. That's my tag for everything.
I don't think I have hormones anymore.
Listen, perimenopause, whatever it is, go have it all checked because it's probably that.
Right.
That's been my plight this year is that because it's the same thing where you just are nuts.
Yeah.
And can't figure out why I'm crazy. I'm pretty sure it's all perimenopause. It's all
Yeah.
some sort of hormonal imbalance somewhere.
Menopause.
But yeah, so it's really hard for me. It was good, but it was really scary. I don't know what I would do if I lost her that young.
Yeah. No, that's totally normal. I think that close to because we're pretty close with our mother, especially more now after this year of doing the podcast. And we talked about it early on in the podcast, but like our mom had a stroke in 2020, in December of 2020. When something like that happens, like the thought of living in the world without your mom it's debilitating in a way that I don't think that until you process something like that, and luckily she's fine. Like, we can laugh about the stroke now. It is a source of laughter.
Just
We
laugh
can laugh about it now.
stuff. Yeah.
It's the same. I mean, it's our moms, I mean, and I'm codependent with my mom, and I'm older than, like, I'm like much older than you, Ashley. And yes, like I still need my mommy.
Yeah.
And I tell her all the time, I'm like, I need you to just come live with me. Jared will be fine. We'll just scooch in.
I don't tell her to come live with me, but I'm like, you need to take your walks. You need to take your vitamins. Are you eating healthy?
We have to tell our mother to take her pills all the time. Yep.
This weird juxtaposition of like they took care of us, and now I'm like mothering her,
Yeah.
trying to mother
It's a
me.
common thing. We see that a lot. Yeah. I have to tell my mother all the time.
She's very bossy.
She's very what?
Bossy.
Oh,
No surprise.
That's how we get things done.
So actually, do you remember what it was that caused you? Do you remember if there was a point in time where you really just were like, okay, I need to be independent? Was it conscious or was it just like,
I mean,
what do you think was the catalyst for that?
I think maybe like when I was it must have been when I was like in college or something. I think like moving out of the house, I discovered like, because I say, okay, I don't really know how to explain it. I've always been I don't really know if codependent is the right word. Because I always want to be with her. I always want to hang out with her, but I don't need her for anything. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I need her. But I've never needed her to do X, Y, Z. Like I've always been independent, even when I was younger, to do literally everything. And I've never, even as a young child, like to be told what to do. So I've always had like a fierce, independent nature. So I say codependent, and probably that's just the wrong word. But especially whenever I moved out of the house when I was in college, I was like, this is amazing. I can just do what I want. I'm very particular about my space and who I'm around. So like I really thrive in just having my space and everything. And then I can invite, who I love and who I want in when I want them in, and then they leave when they're not needed, not needed, but not like, like, okay, it's 9 p.m. back kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I throw around codependent, which is probably the wrong word, but yeah, I've always been like, I say sassy, fierce, whatever. I'm like
Miss
awkward and say, yeah, like I was a cheerleader and our coach gave us like sashes, which had like an adjective that described us, and mine said sassafras. So I've never been like a doormat kind of person, I guess. But yeah, so I guess that's my best answer when I really moved out and was like, okay, I can do literally everything on my own.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But she's still balmy.
Yeah. But then again, I was like, well, come over and let's have dinner.
I would move out so you can come over here.
Yeah. I don't have to go to your house anymore. You can come to right now.
It's that controlled independence. Like it's like independence on your terms.
I don't know where she came from.
Well, she's still like whenever she's like talked about you, like she says that y'all are very different, but very like, still the same, but very different. That because she's made the comments like I'm way more independent than my mom is, and that's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just like, do you think? How do I put it? Like, do you think that you got that from your mom because she is so different than that?
Probably. And I think, okay, so I look a lot like her, but I think I have a lot of like my dad's spirit. I don't know. I'd say I'm more like, we're very like type A, literally everything has its place kind of thing. But then, yeah, I also, like my mom and I have had a lot of conversations. Like, unfortunately, I mentioned earlier, I've gone through a divorce, which, sucks, but it is what it is. And she said, she doesn't want to divorce that or anything, but she has mentioned, people of our generation just didn't do that. And to me, that
We just stuck with it.
that's a really shitty thing to say. Like, don't say stuff if you're not happy or you're not fulfilled. Like, at least our generation is, while it's not the everybody's happy ending to get a divorce, like sometimes it's okay. I'm still single, I'm still figuring it out, but that's why I'm finding new adventures here in Arizona, kind of thing. But yeah, I've learned from my mom to not be. I joke with her sometimes, like she sometimes is a yes woman or a doormat, like, and I never. But yeah, something like if my situation's not okay, I'm out. Bye.
But even if you look at like your divorce, I'm sure that it wasn't like an easy thing to come to. And you probably didn't wake up one day and be like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not going to protect ourselves.
Yeah. You have a right to protect yourself, Yeah.
So, yes, I think I learned from her a little bit of like maybe more having like, not that she doesn't have any backbone, but have a firmer backbone.
Or yes, and everybody has it. It's just a little firmer. Hers is a little louder.
Yeah, and like Lydia, you see me at work sometimes. Like I have no filter. People may be like, "What did she just say?" But like, I just like to joke around and have fun or whatever. And she's very like light, PC, and for the most part, I'd say I am. But I also am like a jokester sometimes. So like,
I think you have a filter because you're still professional, but I think you're a lot like me, and like we both have like closed captioning on our faces.
Yeah.
So like if we're in a like if we're both in a meet if we're both in a meeting where we both think it's stupid, you can see it because both of us are like,
yes. And that I'd say is what I get from my dad. We are that person exactly. And my apartment always looks exactly the same. That's what I get from my dad. Like so that I think I'd say I'm like 50-50 each of them. She even got on me today where she was like, "You sound just like your father."
I don't like to put things back in the same place.
that's funny.
So
That's amazing.
Listen, sometimes ADHD takes over and you just got to put it someplace different.
I may not be able to find it when I want it.
So, Ashley, how long were you married? Or what age were you when you got married, and how long were you married?
20. I had just turned 26. So I turned 26 in March. We got married that following April. And then 2013. 6 years. I'm married 6 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what did you learn from that? And do you want to be married again?
I do want to be married again. I really loved being a wife. Even though I say like I'm sassy or particular or whatever, I do enjoy like taking care of my person. Lydia and I have talked about this a lot. Like if I won't just like open my arms to anybody or take care of anybody, but like my person, I will like cook for you. I will, like, do your laundry. I will be sweet and sweet, like the sweetest to you. It just depends on the person. If you're my person, I will put
They are worthy of it.
you're worthy of it. Like you get that. But yeah, I guess honestly, what I learned from it, I think is kind of sad. And sometimes I feel sad and sometimes I don't.
Okay.
It's a good time because I don't want to be sad. Okay. Sometimes I feel sad. So I'd say I used to, I think maybe make,
He's annoying.
okay. Okay, reset. Cuddle. Okay. Yeah, I think sometimes I would make like rasher decisions. So he worked nights. I obviously worked during the day. And so I never saw him, and he is the kind of cop you want on the streets, like solely dedicated to being a cop, never wanted to take off. And he worked, I think like Tuesday, Wednesday, I think if I remember correctly, was his days off. And my working days, even if I want to preface it by like, I know he loved me, he took care of me, he did. He's a great man. I still think he's a great man. I still pray for him daily. But even if I was like, can you just take a Friday night off so we can, go for a date or whatever? No, I voted to the Houston police. Kind of thing. Like that's like he like, and that's fine. I mean, thank God we have officers like that. However, with not spending any additional time together, or like courting each other, whatever, just being with each other, we just grew apart. And what I regret though is we were in counseling, and I think I just made a really rash decision because when I was younger, I did make rash decisions. I didn't put much logic behind them, and so it just one day I was just kind of like, oh, and he was like, okay, and he's also very logical, so there was no let's talk about it fighting for me, which I didn't do it to get him like to get a reaction out of him to fight for me. I thought that's what I really wanted. Probably it would have ended up the same way. It probably would have, but maybe like 2 or 3 years down the road. I don't know. Yeah, I do regret maybe being so rash about it and not giving therapy a little bit more time because this situation maybe could have, or the solution maybe could have been different. Maybe we could have had more tools to figure out, a path forward kind of thing. But there was, other than never spending time together, things were fine.
Yeah.
I try to explain to people, they're like, you're crazy.
Well, I think that's super important. I mean, and I get that because like Jared works shift work, but his shift work changes. If he worked nights every single night, that would be so hard.
It was hard. Like, we would pass each other on West Park Tollway. And we'd like sometimes be able to talk on the phone, and we're like, hey, I see. Like, it was really depressing.
That is depressing.
They were never in the same bed sleeping.
I never slept in the bed with him because, I would sleep my normal, whatever. I go to bed at like 9, wake up at 6, and he'd get home at like 5, maybe, watch a little TV, and then when I, like, it was exactly opposite. So, like, I'd be dressed and gone for work. Oh, sorry, no. What am I even saying? That was on his days off. Even on his days off, he had to stick to his normal schedule. So he'd be watching TV the whole night while I'm in bed sleeping. So he'd be in the living room. And then, yeah, on the days that I was working, he also was coming home. Like, he'd come home, I'd already be at work. He'd stay up for a couple of hours and then go to bed. And when I got home from work, I'd like have to wake him up and then we'd get ready for work. It was hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody, those schedules and that. And I think there's, and I'm really sorry that you had to go through a divorce. I'm sure you don't go into a marriage
Yeah.
waiting for the shoe to drop kind of thing. And I see what kind of great person you are. And it makes me sad that you were sad about it. So, I mean, do you, in the long run, because it's been a couple of years or several years since, that, do you regret it, or are you at peace with that decision that you had to make?
I kind of go back and forth sometimes. And the reason I go back and forth is because, like I mentioned earlier, I don't know if the outcome would have been different. It probably would not have been. It maybe would have been exactly the same. I just would have given it more time. I really don't know. Yeah, I do kind of give myself a hard time sometimes.
We do that as women. We're pretty mean to ourselves.
Yeah.
Because
We're the meanest.
The guy, literally have nothing bad to say about him. He's a fantastic guy.
It'd almost be easier if you could say something bad about him.
But I don't. Yeah, but I can't say anything bad about him other than that's why I'm always like, I know he loved me. He truly loved me, but he didn't give the relationship the attention it deserved to give back to his job.
Yeah.
And
I think that's important. And I think that there's,
Cops like that. Like I shouldn't stand up for him so much.
well, I think marriage is hard. I'm a rookie married lady. I've only been married 3 years. We just had our third anniversary, so I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I looked at her. Her and Dwayne have been married for 27, 25 years. Y'all been married. Our parents have been married for over 50 years. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I do know that marriage and motherhood are the two hardest things that you could possibly do as a woman.
Yeah.
And trying to figure that out is not easy. And I think that that's one of those things that anybody who gives you a hard time about going down that road of divorce, send them to me. Actually, I'll take care of them. But I mean,
It's the same thing too. It's just a choice. It's just like you're saying, your mom is choosing somebody every day. I don't like the word stuck or
No.
it really is a choice. I choose Dwayne every day. And some days I choose not to kill him. It's real simple.
Would do anything for me, so it's not,
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's a choice. And the same thing with divorce because I'm separated from the girl's dad, never married, and I left him. And, we separated and I had to pay for that for years, having to raise children who were not raised with their dad or in the picture. Or he was in the picture. We were just not together in the picture.
it's a different picture. It's
Yeah.
a different color by
It's a
number.
different
That's all. Yeah.
But it's a choice, and it's hard and it's not easy. Anything like that is not easy. How was your mom? Did she give you any advice during that time? Like when you're going through the divorce, was there anything that either of y'all remember about that time?
I said probably, but I honestly don't remember. I don't think nobody in my family actually wanted me to get a divorce.
Yeah, but she's so strong-willed, and she doesn't like to be told what to do. So it's like that's what she wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We weren't happy that she was divorcing him, but that's what she wanted at the time.
I found out like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. My dad was like, I still call him sometimes.
I didn't even know that.
Pops.
And so I didn't see the answer. He goes, he hasn't answered yet, but I'll just keep
Oh, that's funny.
That is funny. Okay, Pops.
like just keep trying, I guess. But he's probably not going to answer.
It's sweet that he still tries, though.
But and it's especially funny because my dad's mom, she's like super Southern Baptist. She's got like the bouffant hair and everything. I swear, I do distinctly remember this. She called me like 5 times. Like, don't do this. You can't get a divorce. And she was like in her late 80s, like, you absolutely cannot. As a Baptist woman, you cannot get a divorce. So,
I'm gonna slap this scarlet S on me and go on about my
Yeah.
like, I shouldn't have even told the woman. Like, she would not even know if I hadn't have told her.
I think that's a normal reaction. It's like, we were raised, I said, our father's a preacher, and we were raised Southern Baptist, and we've talked about this too on the podcast, so there's definitely a legalism. Unfortunately, that was definitely in that 70s, 80s, 90s, thing, that core church or whatever. And we talked too about, like, when we've talked about, so I'm not throwing you under the bus, like when my sissy got pregnant with the babies and our daddy was, he wasn't a preacher at the time and mom was a church secretary, and you have people with very strong opinions whenever you make these kind of life choices. And, I'm no different. I've made some dumb life choices that people had opinions on, but, you still had your mom that, and I love that she recognized that she couldn't tell you what to do in that because
Better.
I do remember though she did talk to him and was like, "Are you sure you like?" Like I said, I distinctly don't remember what or if she said to me. But one day she had to go get stuff from the house, and he was there, and she was like, "Are you guys sure?" And he said, "I've been expecting this for years," and that's really all I remember. So then I was even kind of more mad, like.
Yeah, I told him, I said, well, you can fight for her. Well, she doesn't want me. Well, you can still fight. He wasn't listening to me. He was too logical. It's, in his mind, logically, she doesn't want me, so okay.
But other than that, I don't remember. I mean, she was very supportive. Like, she was there every day. I got really sick because I was just super stressed. And she was there every day, like, taking care of me. So,
Yeah.
even though she couldn't do, she was taking care of me.
Yeah. I think one of the things that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back, she had a surgery and he chose to work.
Yeah.
And I was the one at the hospital when he
Yeah.
should have been there. And I think that's probably when it started going downhill.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
You want like your husband to be there to take you. He wouldn't even take me. He didn't take me. He wasn't there to make sure I was okay. He was sleeping with his phone on silent. So even if something had gone awry, like she was there, but she wouldn't have been able to get in contact with him. So I don't know. Just, I think for me, yeah, that was like the click in my head of like, is this really my partner who is going to go to battle with me? And that's what you want. You want somebody who's literally there to, like,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing is like, even, I mean, if you want to go back, you want to go Gospel Baptist. The Bible says to leave your mother and father, yoke yourself to your partner.
Yeah.
And, that was always something that was in the back of my head with the girls' dad is we were never, ever going to be yoked. It was never going to be an equal, let's take care of I'll take care of you, you take care of me, let's go conquer the world, whatever. It's never going to be that equal yoking. And
that
it
was
was
another thing too.
yeah, it was just going to be impossible. It was just never going to be that,
Yeah.
And
I've
it has.
had a partner who it's always been something I've desired, but I guess never. I've been too impatient, so I've never actually like trusted God's timing, even though I've always said I'm going to trust God's timing. So I just am like, oh, that man will do. And so that's been another thing with like moving here is like it's been really good for me. I didn't know anybody when I moved here. I moved here because like it was God's calling for me to move here. So like this is my new like and again Lydia and I've talked about this. This is my new like I don't want to like my fresh start, but like
It's okay. That's good.
giving my life to Christ. I'm not just like messing around with silly, stupid men. Like it's been fantastic and super peaceful. Like I love
Because I don't remember, like, I know we talked about it, like, whenever you first started talking about moving out there, but how did you decide of all the cities in this great nation, how did you go Phoenix, Arizona?
Well, that's the thing. I didn't. I literally just was like praying, and God was like, "You're going to go to Scottsdale." I had no clue.
Scottsdale, not Phoenix, yeah.
Well, I didn't know right next door. But I had no clue why, and it's so evident now that I'm here. 'Cause, like, if you know anything about Scottsdale, like it's party central, like it's crazy. But I'm not in that area of Scottsdale. Yeah, I knew nobody when I moved here, but when I got here, I found this brilliant church. I love it. It's so fun. She loves going when she's here. I've met great girlfriends, which it had actually been a while since I've had like a nice solid group of girlfriends. You can't deny how beautiful it is here. Like my piece is hiking, nature, animals, all that. So I mean it's just different for me here. I used to be, I'm still a little bit, but I was very, very, very high strung all the time, and I'm just like, oh my! I guess I still have a little bit, but most importantly, it's just so much better for me here. Yeah,
You're more chilled out, high strung. Yes.
It's still very high strung.
It's just a 7. If it's a 7 on a scale of 10, it's good.
But
yeah. No, I didn't actually decide. It was chosen for me, and I said yeah.
Love it. I love that for you, man, because I think that I don't know, there's a peace sometimes in just starting over and clean slate. And listen, you're not married, you don't have kids, there was nothing stopping you. And I remember like when we talked about it, that was one of those things that I thought that, I'm very blessed to have married later in life for that reason, that you've got this whole thing of experience before. And I take for granted everything that I did before and you're tied down now. You were able just to pick up and go do that. And that's a thing that a lot of people wish that they could. That they could just go, hey, flip a coin. I'm going to move to Scottsdale. I'm going to move to, I mean, personally, I would want God to give me someplace beachy, like Hawaii or something, and be like, you need to go for the gospel in Hawaii. And I'd be like, yes, Lord. Yes, amen.
the beach
That's not going to,
The mountain. I probably would have said no if he was like, "You are going to, I don't know, Denver, Colorado." I'm like, it's too cold there. There's mountains. It's cold.
that's where her daughter's at. Her daughter's in Denver. And yes, it's cold.
Well, I was going to say, Gabe, my daughter a couple of years ago, is fiercely independent. She's the oldest daughter and fiercely strong-willed and fiercely, she and I could just probably fought for 20 something years just to, get her. And yeah, one day it wasn't one day. Let me say her boyfriend moved in January the year before. And my husband said to me, get ready. She's going to move. And I was like, she's not going to move. And literally a year later, she called and she was like, she came to my work to tell me she was going to think of moving. And then, not 5 or 6 weeks later, she called. She's like, hey, I got a job and I got a U-Haul and I'll be leaving in like a week. And it was like, I have not even seen her apartment. I have no idea. Because she just took a U-Haul and drove it in. And it's like, okay.
You feel deserted.
Yeah. Yeah, it was I will say it was. I think it's a good thing because I think it's been good. It's not good right this second, but I think it will be good for our relationship in the sense that I think because of our situation, we both need time to just kind of center who we are about ourselves. So for me now, a year, 2 years later, maybe it's been different years, or a year, and I guess it's a year and a half, maybe. That I think will
timing
be.
for me because, like I mentioned earlier about like her stress dementia, whatever.
Yeah.
So whatever was going on, it like to show its evil head as dementia for her. I don't want to say it like caused a rift in our relationship or anything, but it did change our relationship for a while. It kind of changed like our family dynamic a little bit, and it put a lot of like stress on me, and I wanted to leave. Like I needed to get it out of the area. So it was good timing. And I think everything is better now for it. Like my dad has even come to visit because he's traveled to Arizona a lot, like in his younger days, and loves it, whatever. So I see it actually growing early because they like kind of was up here, high, and then there was a little valley, and now we're like back to being like solid, and even getting closer with my dad and everything. I think it's been good on all fronts.
And I definitely think God can pick you up and move you and work on you. And that's what I think. I think I've had such a tight grip on my kids, and I mean, I'll probably a Velcro mom. That you're asking God to work on this relationship, work on that, and God's thinking, I can't do it if you're holding it. If you let it go,
Isolate a little bit, he separates you.
yeah, I think so. In order for him to work, I've got to let go. So he was like, "You're not letting go, so we're moving."
Let's just move her to Colorado.
Yeah. So but it really is probably how God works. And now I feel better. I feel like a better person. And I feel like it's like, okay, now I can deal with, because my kids moved out very rapidly in succession. It happened like bam, 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 bam. And like I said earlier, perimenopause and hormones and everything else. Disaster for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And feel much better now, but it's only because I think we've had all that.
Miss Kay, how did you process like when she came to you and said, hey, I'm moving to Scottsdale? Like you said you felt abandoned, but how did you process that as a mom who's so close to her daughter who is now leaving you to go 2 states away?
I was devastated. And plus I was going through the illness. My brain wasn't working properly either. And it was really hard, but now that I'm on this side of it, I think she's happier. So when I come to visit her, we're happier together. So I think it was a good thing. And like she said, I've been here 5 or 6 times. And how long have you been here?
And like last year, I was in Houston so many times. So there was a few months where I saw her like every other month.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but yeah, I did leave. I will admit, I did leave when she wasn't at her best. But
Was that hard?
it was.
Or did you, I mean, was it harder? Cause like you was like, I know that this is what I'm supposed to do. And you kind of just trust God, ignore it where I'm going.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So at the beginning of all of it, we thought like with your mom, we thought she had a stroke. Like she wasn't going to pass away. She just had things going on, and doctors were figuring like getting everything right. So it wasn't like, yes, I left her at like maybe a time of weakness, but I was being called.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, we're packing my bags.
Nowhere to go. Sorry.
And then I think my husband had to step into a different role because I was always the one that took care of him. Well, he had to take care of me for the first time in his life. And
Yeah.
So I think that helped our relationship too.
He was a little bit scared. He's never had that like fear in him. So I think just even though we like to give her a little bit of heck for what she put us through.
Yeah, I still hear about it.
It changed the dynamic a little bit. Like life is precious. We value her, but she unfortunately doesn't remember any of it. So when we tell her, she's like, "No way, I didn't know.
I didn't do that."
Yeah. We are scarred by it. She's not.
I remember it.
Yeah.
I remember some of it.
Yeah. So, anyways, yes, I unfortunately did leave, but my dad was like, "You're fine."
Yeah, and he stepped up and did it. So,
Well, yeah.
yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, Miss Kay, what is it that you want your legacy to be for your children, for your husband? Like when they think about you one day, what is your legacy?
I want them to remember how much I love them, and I would do anything for them. And I have made mistakes along the way, but I just love my family. The family. I mean, I was raised in a broken home, but I still had my mother, and I wanted to always have that kind of relationship, and I think we do.
That's fair. And I don't want to cry, but that is true because even though we're not talking about said person, and you can keep this in, she did literally everything above and beyond what she shouldn't have even had done. And I fussed her for it like almost daily because he's not my son, but I just didn't agree with what she literally would have gone to the ends of the earth. She would still go to the ends of the earth, but it doesn't matter. And she does that for me, and she does that for her husband, and that's
I think that's a parental thing. I think that's what mothers do.
It's a good parental thing.
It's a good parental thing.
yeah. So she taught me well. I do that for my two fur babies.
Yeah, I was having a faux conversation in my head earlier about something, and I was talking about like I have 4 stepdaughters, and I did not grow them in my belly. I did not push them from my body, but I would fight a bear for them. And if I feel like that for my stepchildren, it's only a small amount of what I would imagine mothers feel for the children that they grew
Yeah.
and pushed out or had cut out from their bodies and things like that.
Well,
And
Ziggy and Zeke from my body, so I fight.
That's what she says.
what?
That I pushed Ziggy and Zeke from my body, so I fight for them.
I'm sure you would fight a bear for your puppies too. Yes, 100%. Yes, girl. Do you want to have, if I'm allowed to ask, Ashley, do you want to have kids one day, or are you just like,
I mean, I'm 38, so no. But even before, when I was married, if it happens, it happens. And then with the guy, Justin, I mean, no, I said it like that. The man I was with, Justin, before moving here, we were trying. However, I think God blessed me in not having a child because I wasn't the one who wanted one. He was the one who was like baby fever. So, but I've never had the like, I have to be a mom.
yeah,
So, long answer to no. But
ain't nothing wrong with that, girl. Nothing.
I don't know. When I was younger, I think I had like a small desire to be like a young, cute mom driving around in like my Mustang. But now, like, I don't want to be older. I just want to like find my person and travel because I love to travel.
Hey, that's a valid thing, you know. I mean,
Besides, car seat wouldn't fit in a Mustang, girl. You'd have got mad at that Mustang.
The Mustang I had was a piece of crap, but I thought maybe I would put a pussy and roll the.
Nope.
I don't know what I was thinking, but
You'd have had to trade that thing in for a minivan.
and we're not about that life. Nope.
In the 90s.
Yeah, Jared showed me a couple before, and I'm like, baby, I'm good. I don't need it. Yes. I told him I wanted an Escalade. I was like, baby, we need an Escalade.
she jokes though. She's like, "I'll never be a grandmother." I have given you more than two, but currently 2 grandbabies. So like, stop being so selfish and dirty.
I mean, we did come up and babysit those grandpuppies while we were in Nashville.
But because I got to see her.
No, also, she said, I had this random thought while I was on the plane coming here. I always said that I'd retire and take care of my grandbabies, and here I am on the plane coming. I'm retired, and I'm coming to Arizona to take care of my grandbabies. So she accepts them as her grandbabies.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're sweet dogs. I have one at home just like them, so yeah.
So she said,
Hey, there's not going to be college loans tied to them. It's not a bad life, Ashley. Well, Ashley, at the end of the day, whether it's your puppies or your family or your friends, what do you want your legacy to be for the people in your life?
Not your dogs.
I was looking over at them. I don't know. Like, about me?
Yeah, like what do you want people
To
I
re-
can't remember you.
Yeah.
So hard. I try to live I learned really early on from, sounds so lame, but from like a CEO at a company, the first like major company that I worked for, he said like, live every day with intention. Every word that comes out of your mouth, say with intention. So if you say it, you mean it, and you're gonna do it. And I try. That has always stuck with me because it's like my biggest pet peeve. If you say something you don't like, or if somebody that you are doing life with says something, they don't do it or they don't mean it. So I always try. Like that's not like my moral code, but I try my best. If I say it, or if I say something, I'm saying it with intention, even if it's maybe not the nicest thing or something that somebody doesn't want to hear. I'm saying it with intention. If I say it, I'm going to do it, kind of thing. So I don't know. I guess I just hope that people remember me as somebody who, I don't know how to repeat the word again, intention, but also, I don't know, a good moral code, and tries to take life not super serious and likes to have fun. I don't know. I try to joke around a little bit when I can.
I think you take, I think I always believe in like you take your work seriously, but you don't take yourself seriously, kind of thing. And just as somebody who's gotten to know you a little bit over the last couple of years, I think you're kind. Like you're one of my favorite people, and we're very blessed. There's nobody in our team that we just like despise or hate or wish would just like go on vacation. And you're one of my favorites. You are like I love like you're like I try to like be cool. It's like I was always excited to see like when we got to see each other in Nashville. I was like,
I'm so glad we're here together. Yeah, no, okay, thank you. Because I do try to be kind, and it may be not be kind, but I mean for it to be kind.
no, I just think we have our closed captioning on where we're just like it's not uncommon to be in a meeting where we're doing like a side chat. We're like,
but you can definitely tell what I'm doing because I'm like,
it's like episodes of The Office where we kind of just like look at each other and like there's 50 people, we're just looking at each other on the camera. We're like what's happening?
All of my emotions on my sleeve. You can always tell how I'm feeling for sure.
Yeah, that's I appreciate you, and I appreciate just you being you, girly. You just keep being you. So I'm proud of you for going off and moving to Scottsdale.
Thank you. Don't say fear. Very different.
So I'm glad God is doing his thing for you there. That makes me happy for you. So good job for listening, because a lot of people, they ignore God, and then God's got to pull a Jonah and the whale and swallow you up and spit you out on the other side of the country. And so I'm proud of you for doing that. So good job.
I do have your.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all coming on. I know this is outside of sometimes outside of the comfort zone, especially for us small.
Y'all made it very comfortable.
No, because we were at dinner. We were at that dinner last week, and she really FaceTimes everyone like, "Mom, we're gonna be on a podcast." And everyone was like, "Excuse me, what?" It's like, "Yeah, we're doing it."
We have this support.
And I get on there, I was like, "It's gonna be fine. We got this. We're gonna figure it out."
I'm deaf. I feel like my face is like getting the red, like embarrassed flush. So I hope it.
Okay, no, you got this.
So I appreciate it. Thank you, because I know it's hard. But thank you for sharing. It's one of our things is we love meeting, especially about the daughter combos. It's nice when, we can get one combo, but when we get the combo, it's super special. So we hope that you get to look back at this later and listen to it. You'll have it always to hear your mama talking. Okay, ladies. She's better at the ending than I am.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Be sure to like us on all the social medias, give us a rating on wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out at themotheryouknow.com, and we'll be back next week with another episode. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.